demand for secure, reliable critical mineral supplies intensifies, the United States stands at a crucial turning point, and Utah is leading the way. Here to discuss this vital issue, welcome to the stage Mick Thomas, Director of the Division of Oil, Gas, and Mining, Nate Walkingshaw, CEO of Torus, and Turner Caldwell, CEO of Mariana Minerals.
Wow, thanks everybody. My name is Mick Thomas, Director of Oil, Gas, and Mining. Next we have Nate Walkingshaw with Torus and Turner Caldwell with Mariana Minerals. I would like to open up a little bit, I only have a little bit of time. Who remembers Apollo 13? All right, a few of us, anybody born before last century, I get it, we remember the movie even. Who remembers Apollo 12? Right, it was a perfect mission. But Apollo 13 would have been a tragedy. 3 astronauts, 200,000 miles from Earth, oxygen tank failure. The astronauts and the team at Mission Control came together and solved an impossible problem. They realized we have a certain amount of time with a certain amount of resources to bring those folks home. And they got together as one team across all sorts of disciplines. They used the tools they had in a certain amount of time and they achieved something. Everyone made it home. Ron Howard made, in my opinion, an excellent movie. Tom Hanks should have won the Academy Award, but he'd already won a few already, so that's a subreddit. But anyhow, they brought it back. Utah and the US is in a similar situation. We must establish a domestic critical mineral supply chain for our national security and our way of life. We're behind the ball. We do have a lot of resources, but time is not on our side, right? And one of the reasons we're coming together here today is, first, briefly as briefly as possible, I want to talk about the state, what the state is doing, what the division is doing to provide the tools so that our mission control folks, and believe me, I heard them both geeking out backstage. If there are 2 individuals who could be in the mission control in Houston, and I would want these 2 there. It was amazing. So they can solve the problem of the supply we need. At the division in the DNR, we are approaching holistically what the needs are. We're coordinating, we are taking steps to streamline permitting. You know, how exciting is it to be the director of a regulatory agency? I don't get recognized in the mall or Walmart, which is great. You know, we just kind of go along. But it's critical because we are the ones that enable compliance, that protect the environment, protect the citizens of Utah, while the industries can flourish. We are taking steps to streamline permitting across all agencies, federal, state, local, working with cooperative agreements with our BLM partners, evaluating technology so that the amount of administrative load on staff to approve, especially a large mine permit, which sometimes takes years, and that's all high capital cost, trying to constrict that down to ideally a few years, if not several months or even a few months. The legislature was a big supporter of this past session. We developed the Critical Mineral Council, and the legislature put real effort and resources behind giving us the tools to support industry. So I'd like to open up a little bit. You guys can talk a little bit, kind of what you're doing, right? But then we got some Q&As. We can maybe get back on schedule a little bit. I want to take the full 15 minutes, right? We're not going to get gypped. But go ahead, Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Nate Walkingshaw. I'm the founder and CEO of Torus. We design, engineer, and manufacture a whole host of products, but mostly we're known for energy storage, our reserve product. We are in Salt Lake City, Utah, 650,000 square feet across 3 different buildings. We've been in business for 6 years, and we are long only Utah. We love this place. This is our 3rd year at this summit, and we're super grateful to be here.
Thanks so much for having me, Mick and everyone here. My name is Turner Caldwell. I'm the CEO of Mariana Minerals. We are a AI-first, AI-native minerals mining and refining company, so we're vertically integrated across mining minerals and refining them. Laser focused on autonomous solutions to improve efficiency and solve the labor gap that's very, very real in the US in the mineral space. Our flagship project is in southeast Utah. It's right next to LaSalle, just south of Moab, called Copper One. It's operating today. We acquired it at the end of 2025 and got it back up and running in 4 months. And at the same time, we're building a lithium extraction facility in Texas, but are very excited to be doing more in the state.
Thank you both. One of the, these two are not here by chance. We were so elated and honestly honored that they made themselves available for this discussion. On the mineral side, if we try to compete on a commodity price globally, the U.S., it's not our strongest suit, frankly. But what we can do, and especially here in Utah, is holistically approach the entire industry, whether it's energy or minerals, and say, how does it all fit together? How does technology and labor and even funding structures and resources, how does it all fit together to where we can be not only competitive, but once again dominate? Because that's what we do, right? Going back to the Apollo 13, China didn't have a space program in 1970, and we did. It's because of the innovation that U.S. has. And these two are here, and I'm going to ask them some questions, because they have taken the industry and really turned it on its head, looked at it holistically, using all the resources and all the ideas they could come up with to make something innovative, exciting, and potential, and move us ahead globally as the United States and as Utah. So I'll open up with that. First to you, Nate. There's a certain amount of incentives and stuff and a reason you came to Utah, right? You could talk a little bit about that, but also feel free to share what you think is needed, what the next 18 to 24 to 36 months look like. There are a lot of decision makers in the room. It's a good audience for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think, the state of Utah, what I've loved about the state of Utah and wanting to build a business here, I'm born and raised in Utah, and for the rural folks that are here, hopefully many, my mom and their family was born and raised in Schofield, Utah. So Schofield is a small little town, as you guys know, and that's really where the energy infrastructure and background and the passion came from in our family. And I think if you look at the long forecast, incentives is, I guess, a piece of it. I'd say Utah's market is very performance-based. So if you think about wanting to design and engineer and build a manufacturing, bringing advanced manufacturing back to the state of Utah, we kind of have to put our money where our mouth is. And if we do, and we meet the hiring requirements and we build products and we put them in the market, then we do get an incentive as far as a tax-based incentive, right, as we hire more employees. And I've always loved that model instead of, here's a handout. And then we hope that you do it. It's prove that you can do it if you do it and have product market fit. I also think, there's a fiscal note required on any piece of legislation that goes through. And so we always have, we have to have the balanced budget. And I think as an entrepreneur, I was not politically affiliated whatsoever. I mean, it was just an entrepreneur wanting to build. I didn't understand kind of all these building blocks that make up, needing to build and innovate in the state of Utah. And as you learn about this, it is, I think, one of the most unfair advantages our state has on progressing a business like Torus. Maybe the last half is just, what are we trying to do? When we first built the business, it was kind of like youth against establishment. We thought maybe we would go compete against utility. They're kind of old and slow and heavily regulated, and we learned just the opposite. If you talk to a fourth generation line worker or you talk to people that have been building infrastructure for a long time, they have a lot to offer. And so we have decided to go to a totally different corporate strategy, which is to vertically integrate with utility. And then build basically the flexibility kind of on the load side. And that is something across the entire state. It doesn't matter if it was Rocky Mountain Power, Dixie Power, co-ops, or somewhere clear out in the middle of Tickaboo. They are willing to dive in and help unpack really hard, challenging problems to provide affordable power for ratepayers. And that's really been our ambition here in the state.
Thank you, and there is no such thing as an unfair advantage for the state of Utah. I just want to say that outright for everyone. Turner, same question. What's working for you in Utah? Why did you come here? And also, if you can, what specifics do you need? What recommendations do you have?
Yeah, I think in the broader trend of reindustrializing America, there are some states that don't kind of fully appreciate the need to actually be building things. And I think that Utah is definitely one of the few states in the country that fully appreciates that if we want to rebuild, we have to build. It seems obvious, but I don't actually think that folks fully appreciate that. And doing that does come with some trade-offs, and it requires kind of being very level-headed around how do we evaluate the kind of cost impact of the different things that we need to build. And I think that the conversation, well, I don't think, I know that the conversations that we've had with the state, kind of in our short tenure here so far, have been very level-headed conversations where, our job is to have the lowest fundamental impact, like make that trade-off as obvious as possible. And the key is that permits don't make things safer, permits actually don't make things more economically responsible. That actually falls to the operator. And the right mindset in thinking about how you reduce your impact is that impact actually is cost. If you are consuming more water, that actually does cost you more money. If you are emitting more air emissions and water emissions, that actually does take you more time to permit things, and it does cost you more money. And so there is a good incentive actually for folks who are responsible operators with a counterparty that understands that it's kind of on the operator to ensure that they're making it as obvious of a trade-off as possible. And we've generally found that those conversations have always been great with the state. But I think that there are a few things that we can do, and it's going to sound kind of counter. We use robots to mine and refine metals, but the reality is that a major area that I would focus on is on housing, especially in rural parts of Utah. We acquired a site in San Juan County, as I mentioned earlier, and the peak head count at the site under previous operators was around 130 people. And even with the big bets that we're making on autonomy, we're going to be ramping headcount to around 300 people at the site. And that's by virtue of just higher productivity and higher output. We'll be recycling copper at the site alongside mining and refining copper. And even if we are pulling people out of the pit, which is primarily to pull people away from heavy machinery and pull people away from hazards, we also are going to be ramping headcount. I think it's a good example of where AI is actually solving a binary problem where you either have a mine and a refinery that is cost effective or you don't. So you either have jobs or you don't. And here we're actually going to hire way more people in San Juan County than we would have had previously. And I think that that's an area that we're really excited to work with the state to continue to ensure that there is affordable housing for folks in Southeast Utah, to ensure that we can bring all these people down there. The other piece is workforce development. This is something that we're actively doing with the state and with the state universities. The profile of what a job in mining is going to change. You're no longer going to be behind the wheel of heavy haul machinery. You're going to be maintaining that equipment, ensuring that the sensors are reliable, ensuring that the automation is reliable, ensuring that the networking is reliable, which is also hard in remote parts of anywhere on the globe. And we want to make sure that we're partnering with the state to ensure that folks have the skill sets needed to be able to kind of go along for the ride as the industry itself is changing. So I would say that those are the two big things that we're spending a lot of time on, and we really appreciate the partnership with the state on that.
Yeah, can I double down on this? So that's way upstream from us. If you look at the building blocks that we have to build relative to permitting, to his point, if you meet National Electric Code standards, if you meet 2030.5, like all these codes that we have to meet, we're installing the exact same Lego bricks everywhere. But it doesn't matter if I go to a different state, a different city, or a different county, it's 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. And we need to standardize that process for gear that's going to serve load as well, because it takes us a tremendous amount of time to get any energy infrastructure in the ground. And that is right to ratepayers. So if you want to lower the cost of energy or get clean bus bar power to where it needs to go, you need to be able to install a non-wires alternative to be able to do it. But we spend a lot of our time, money, and effort trying to get a permit in a different city for stuff that went in a week, but we'll wait 3 months just because of a jurisdiction change.
Thank you very much. It was 60 seconds less. I wish I had a little bit more time. The two of them sort of very organically and brilliantly started collaborating backstage, first interaction on ways they could work together. 15 seconds, 20 seconds. How do you two see working together industry-wise to solve this problem moving forward?
Yeah, I think, well, one on the work side, building infrastructure in remote areas means that the grid is going to take time to catch up. And ideally, you are working with partners that are focused on both generation and storage to ensure that you are able to move faster than the grid is able to move, just because of the real regulatory constraints, but also just the nature of the people that build the grid. Like, they're a little slower moving, and they're older companies. On the regulatory side, I think it's just important for everyone to have a forum where they're able to talk through where the opportunities for standardization are. Because if you look at our businesses, they actually are, you'd look at them at surface value, they're pretty different. But the reality is that we are building infrastructure in the physical world, we are interfacing with all the same groups, and there is a ton of opportunity for standardization if you focus on the ways that these industries are similar instead of the ways that these industries are different.
I would say, he did a good job, but I think maybe two areas: permit reform, 100%, and then workforce development and planning. He might be all the way upstream, mining the critical minerals for the stuff that we're going to put in our product. But like you said before, Salt Lake Community College takes our products in a 6-week course. And so we will take our staff plus net new folks at Salt Lake Community to train them on those products before we hire them in. And so we definitely would love to send our team upstream, and we'd love to take his team downstream, and so they can actually see what the byproduct is.
Thank you both, and I know we're out of time, and in a classic state regulator way, I'm actually going to say I want to get out of you both's way, and you two could just move forward. So thank you for coming, and thank you all for this time today. We appreciate it.